Hello, I'm Erica from the British Society for Immunology. We're back with another COVID vaccine Q&A, and today I'm joined by Dr. Dami Pinheiro from Imperial College London. Thank you, Dami, for joining us and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Let's get started. Question number one, how effective are the vaccines against long COVID?
There is a study out from King's College London with regards to the Zoe app, where they've been monitoring various samples associated with COVID during this period. And so they've shown that actually the vaccines are really effective in preventing infections. And how this helps with long COVID is that obviously if you reduce your chances of getting COVID, you reduce your chances of getting long COVID. They've also shown that the vaccines are really good at reducing the symptoms associated with COVID, so that if on the likely event following double vaccination that you do get COVID, your symptoms will be milder and they will last for a shorter period of time.
Question number two, why do we need boosters if we've had 2 doses?
So as most people will be aware, we've been having vaccine rollout programs sort of around the world really since December last year. So we're coming up to the year anniversary. So we've got real world data showing how effective the vaccines are at both reducing severe illness and death, and that's great. But what we don't know is how long lasting this protection is. And there is now some evidence showing that there is a decline in some of the protection over time. And so, as you know, because we are sort of living through this in real time, there isn't not yet available enough data looking at the strength of protection sort of 6 months and beyond the second dose. So the rationale is that if we are beginning to see this decline, it makes sense to give a third dose or a booster to enhance long-lasting protection, especially through the winter in individuals who are known to be vulnerable to the most severe effects of coronavirus.
Next question, number 3. How will boosters improve protection for those with a poor response to the first 2 doses?
What's quite interesting is preliminary data from the Octave trial showed that almost everyone who was immunosuppressed and had received 2 doses of the vaccines was able to mount an immune response via antibodies or T cells. However, in around 40% of those individuals, the level of antibodies were low, and so it's not clear how much this might affect their protection, given that antibodies only represent a part of the immune response. So we also know that people with immunocompromised or immunosuppressed are really likely to be more severely ill if they do catch COVID-19. So there's now another round of studies that are ongoing to look at how effective the third dose is for immunosuppressed people. And there's very encouraging results coming out of that study.
Question number 4, why is the third dose advised to be 6 months after?
There is definitely information coming out that the protection offered by the 2 vaccines currently available begins to fade within 6 months after sort of the second dose. And so the point of the 6 months is to make sure that you're kind of catching it before we obviously don't know how severe the waning is, but by giving people a third dose at this point, you're effectively trying to give them enough protection to get them through the winter when we know that coronavirus is in circulation, SARS-CoV-2 is in circulation, and so with people inside more, there's more chances of people picking it up. So giving a third dose is a good way to boost our protection and get people safely through the winter.
Question number 5, will we need to boost every year?
I think this is the question we're all asking ourselves. There's lots of different sort of rationales as to why we might need a booster. So obviously the SARS-CoV-2 virus is present. It's heading in the direction of being endemic, even if it's not yet reached that point. And so it's circulating. We also know that there's different variants. So unfortunately, vaccine coverage is sort of disparate across different regions in the world. So here we're quite protected, whereas there are regions that are not as fully protected. And so you run the risk of other variants coming in for which you might need sort of protection. We also know that coronaviruses can mutate, although there's discussion as to how rapidly this is. So in short, it's possible that we could need some kind of booster protection that runs sort of annually in a similar fashion to the flu. But unfortunately, as with most things, we won't really know until we get to that point in the coming years.
Question number 6. Those under 50s who won't get a booster, how long does protection last?
I think the first thing to kind of state is that the protection really is going to kind of be the same effectively regardless of your age. Like, everyone who's received the vaccine is protected and very well protected, we believe. The issue is that we know that over 50s are more at risk of a severe illness in regards to SARS-CoV-2 infection than under 50s. So I think sort of the calculations, such as back as when we were doing the initial programming, initial vaccine program, is to start with the people who are most vulnerable, get them their boosters, and then I imagine as we progress, then decisions will be made as to whether boosters need to be rolled out to those who are under 50 and healthy.
Question number 7. Can you have the booster and flu vaccine at the same time?
The advice that's generally been given out by the NHS at the moment is that most people who can get a COVID-19 booster vaccine will also be eligible for the annual flu vaccine. And so if you are offered both vaccines, it is safe to have them at the same time, and you should consider getting both.
And final question number 8. Are the vaccines safe for 13-year-olds?
And so the MHRA, which is the regulatory authority in the UK, has approved the Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines for people aged 12 and over, as they have met the strict standards of safety and effectiveness that we see in the clinical trials. As we know, safety in vaccines is always paramount, and the MHRA will have carefully scrutinised the evidence to ensure the benefits exceed the risks. So in terms of safety, there's certainly evidence there supporting the safe usage in those who are over 12. And I guess the other thing to always consider that there's always ongoing safety monitoring and checking and tracking as people are receiving vaccines in real time.
Thank you so much, Dami. Those answers were brilliant. And thank you everyone for submitting your questions. Please do keep following the British Society for Immunology, and goodbye. Thank you, Dami.
Thank you everyone for your questions, and yeah, bye.